Attention, all you New Yorkers. Excuse me. Taxi.
Okay, man, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
Jerry in Kings Park. You're on the other side of midnight with Lionel.
Hey, thanks for taking my call.
Yes, sir.
You guys are talking about the guys. I just caught the end of it playing pool.
Yes, sir.
Well, unfortunately, I was incarcerated at Otisville Correctional Facility. in
Those
upstate New York.
bastards. You didn't
Not
do
where-
anything. It wasn't your fault.
No, I wasn't.
They set
but
you
it was
up.
Not where Bernie Madoff was.
They set you up,
There's
Jerry.
two facilities.
What were you in for?
Anyhow, the time period or for the crime?
The crime. What were you in for?
Oh, I passed the note at a bank.
Oh,
That's how
come. And what did the note say? Have a nice day. What's your sign?
No, please hand all the hundreds,
You
50s,
see that?
and 20s.
And you're being, and you wouldn't have done anything had they not. Come on.
No, I didn't have it. I didn't have it. I used their own policy against them, for monetary gain. The tellers are trained to hand over the money.
What about
But
what
anyhow,
about dye packs and things like that? You got to watch that. You got to be very careful of that.
Yeah, I knew how to observe.
Had you done this?
packs and
May I ask you?
detect it.
May I ask you? Had you done this before?
Before there was always a first time,
Yeah.
but I did my research before
Yeah.
I did. I never got caught in the commission of it. I did approximately 8 of them
Excellent.
in a 2.
I don't know what I'm saying excellent for, but all right. Anyway, listen, you did your time, and that's behind you, and welcome back to
Yes.
society, Jerry.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. It was
Yes, sir.
2006. But anyhow, when I was at Otisville, and not only there, they move you around a lot. There was so many talented guys up there. At Otisville, they had pool tables in the dorms, believe it or not. It was it was close to a minimum security. And some of these guys that I saw playing pool, it was fascinating. I never seen it on the street or on TV. Same with basketball, baseball, chess players, artists, arts and crafts. Some of the talent that I saw in there was phenomenal. And, when I was younger, I asked my dad about the Olympics. It's like, how do they know this guy's the best in the world, the greatest? He says, well, there are people that probably could break their records, but they just never had the opportunity to do it in that position,
Isn't that something? And think about this, Jerry. In the Negro Leagues, how long did we, Satchel Paige and was it Josh Gibson and all the greats that they refused to allow to compete? The same thing with this. Think of the people in prison. And also, what they do is they will raise a lot of times service dogs. They will do we've got to reassess the way we handle incarceration in this country.
Well, I was at Otisville. They had puppies behind bars, and each inmate was responsible for a dog for 18 months. I cycled out 3 dogs myself.
What does that mean? What did you cycle out? What did you do?
I got the dog at 10 weeks old.
And what did you do?
And
What
I
did you?
trained this dog 24/7 for 18 months.
But what did you
And when
do?
this dog I spent every minute of the day
Doing
except
what?
when the dog,
Talking to it?
training the
What?
dog. No, training.
Oh, that's what I want to know. What did you train him to do?
They were trained to become service dogs for veterans.
Right, but how
that
did you
were,
know how to train them to be service dogs?
Oh, there's a whole format that is you go by the guidelines from the second you get up in the morning to
Right.
walking them, grooming them, feeding them, cutting their nails, training them to sit, stay behind, shut off the lights.
Jerry, how hard was that to finally say goodbye? Did you ever really attach to one?
Well, it's funny you say that. Absolutely. I've seen grown men cry like babies when their dogs left.
Oh,
Yeah. But this is how they did it. This is another fascinating aspect. When the dogs were ready to be graduated, they would go to the gymnasium and they'd have chairs all on one side and then chairs on the opposite side. So all the inmates with the dogs on a leash would sit down with the dog. The dog would sit down next to them, very obedient. And then they'd bring in all the soldiers across from them.
Mhm.
And then they'd unleash the dogs and let the dogs pick. It was fascinating how some of these dogs made a beeline to certain soldiers. You just didn't know why.
Isn't that
And
something?
every single dog went to a soldier on their own.
Right.
I mean, it brought tears to your eyes. It was very emotional. And then that was it. You wouldn't see the dog again.
And by the way,
And then-
isn't it something that when a dog does not like you, just like when children don't, they can pick something up. There is something so spiritual about a dog. A dog is one of the few animals that has, where you can see the iris. You can see the sclera, the white, not the iris, the sclera, the white part of the eye, so that you can tell when it's looking at you. They looked one time. They put little cameras on their eyes, and they noticed that. They wanted to see where are they looking, because, for example, I did some work with the capuchin monkeys who would help people who are paralyzed, but if you point to something, a monkey does not understand what pointing is. Not only does a dog know what pointing is, you can look at it with your eye and it will know because it watches your eyes, and it can read. It can read.
Not only that, there's communication with them that is zero sound.
Right.
It's gestures, hand gestures, head gestures, eye gestures, chin gestures, elbow, anything in a part of your body that you could gesture. And these dogs know exactly what you're looking for.
What about
It's amazing.
What about the instances, Jerry?
No,
For example, the dogs that can smell by virtue of either chemical changes in sweat or perspiration or what have you, but can
Absolutely, because
that can smell, for example, a PTSD episode or an epileptic seizure,
Right.
and can even smell out certain cancers.
yes, the other thing was the alcohol, tobacco, and firearms, ATF.
Right.
They would come in the parking lot, and the people that ran the program, they would bring 3 or 4 dogs to them unannounced, and they would test them in the parking lot. I had outside clearance, so I could see what they were doing, but the guys inside did not. Anyhow, they would take them through a series of tests. If they wanted the dog, they would take him right then and there, and the dog would never come back. So the guy who was training the dog, it would be taken from him, and then later on they'd say, "Yep, that's it, he's gone." And that was another heartache for them.
Oh my God!
Pretty cold, but it was like, sorry, but your dog's gone. They didn't get a chance to see it off. But
did you ever
was
notice
an
that there were
overall-
people? Did you ever notice, Jerry, people who were, for all practical purposes, antisocial, but yet with a dog or a cat, even sometimes even with cats, they showed a tenderness that nobody even thought was available. That they thought
Let
that.
me tell you something. We have a dorm that I think we were in roughly 35 or 40 to 45 guys with about 8 to 10 dogs. And you could not help but get up in the morning and have a smile on your face when you go into the bathroom or to the kitchen to see these dogs wagging their tails.
Mm-hmm.
They're happy-go-lucky. They would make even the corrections officers.
Yeah.
They love these dogs. It changed the
Right, the tenor, the
dimension
disposition, the temperament. In fact, it made.
Yeah. And not only that, it was throughout the entire facility because you had numerous storms that had dogs. So you see, 50, 60, 80 guys go in the mess hall, and 20, 30% of it was dogs.
But by the
You
way,
couldn't
also
help
it's
but
important to
smile
know.
in it.
But also from the viewpoint of the guards, the fights the tension would diminish, the attacks.
Oh, there was zero. Because of that program and this facility, it was an honor facility. You had to first earn your way to get there, to be designated, to be brought there, and then there was zero tolerance for any type of misbehavior. If it was escalated to something close to anything, you were isolated. There was a review, and then you were shipped right out. There was no tolerance. So because of that atmosphere. Because if you're going to be a knucklehead in that,
Right.
you don't deserve to be there. And even the inmates reported that, because it's like, we don't want idiots here. So, no, but as far as I'm telling you, the recidivism rate, anybody coming out of there, was very, very low.
Jerry, I
because
also
it
saw
really-
something that was interesting. My wife showed me this, that in cases of kids who are either severely on spectrum, autistic, whatever the particular phrase is, sometimes some animals didn't even work with them. But you know what really, and they have different theories as to why this worked, but what really got to them was a horse. Because a horse, first of all,
that's another thing. It's funny you mentioned that. This facility is the only facility that's patrolled by horses around the outside perimeter. They had two going all 24/7, so they had different officers rotate out different horses. And if you were lucky enough, you got outside clearance and you worked at the barn as inmates, grooming and taking care of these horses. And that was another good exposure to. And that's something, people don't understand horses. How come? Let me ask you this: do you know why they can be with our size compared to their size, and how skittish they could be, and why they are controlled by humans? Do you know why?
No.
Well, it's how they perceive. What they see is not what we see. Their magnification in their eyes is X times, I forget the exact number. None of that. But we look 10 times, 8 times bigger than we actually are.
I did not. Let me also tell you what. In that view, do you know why snakes have historically scared people so much, including a horse? A horse could step on a snake, crush it, but if a horse sees a snake, it goes crazy, rears back, and what is it about? And the theory behind this was that when we were all on the ground crawling about, we were much better being able to determine and access the presence of snakes, poisonous or venomous or otherwise. As we became erect, as we stood away from the ground, as the ground became more alien to us, animals that are people that had a hypersensitive sensitivity to snakes lived longer. It's not the phallic connection. Listen, I've got to run, my friend. Please call me again. It was indeed a pleasure, sir. Please call me.
Absolutely. Yes.
Call me again, sir. Absolutely fascinating.